Shantanu, first of all, welcome to the Design Podcast. Thank you for accepting the invite and thank you for being here. It's my honor and pleasure to have you here.
Hey Saket, thank you so much for having me here, and it's a pleasure. And more than anything, it's an honor to be here. And I follow your podcast, and I love what you're doing. And I've in fact seen almost each and every one of your episodes.
That's very flattering, and actually, it's all because of this support that I am able to keep moving forward. So, thank you for all
Right,
that. I'm excited for a couple of reasons today. First of all, in general, I'm very excited about this EV transformation, like this EV
right,
revolution, which this Indian mobility industry is going through. I'm super excited
right.
about that. And
Mm,
you are one of those people who are like on the forefront of that revolution, right? You're working as the creative lead at Ather. Now,
right,
Ather itself as a company, as a startup, it has become like a benchmark for many other EV startups, many
right,
entrepreneurs
right,
over there. So that is
right.
a wonderful thing to have. So I'm very excited about Ather. And then Ather 450, the scooter which you guys have.
Right,
So you are
right.
the designer behind that iconic design. So it's even more exciting to have you here. So I have like so many questions related to EV, related to Ather, related to scooter design and things like that. So, so today you're gonna have to bear me with that excitement.
Oh,
But
sure, no worries. And I mean, thanks. I think these are kind words. I mean, I've been, like incredibly lucky to be to have been part of this journey at Ether, and kind of the company itself grow from where we were when I joined, and how how kind of each and every decision that we took on the product and on the infrastructure front as an org has kind of led to where we are right now. So yeah, and it's exciting, and it's I'm part of an exciting journey still. So yeah, of course I'm not the sole designer. No, no one's the only designer of any product, right? And
sure, yeah, of course.
I've been incredibly lucky and fortunate to have been part of a team, not just a design team, but a design, engineering, product management, and other functions where that all of us wanted to do the same thing. All of us wanted to make the same kind of product,
Correct.
and I think so without that support, none of that is possible. So, and the design team, right? Like without a kick-ass design team, you can't really make a good product. It's and I think it's just that it's really difficult to find that rapport, or it takes a while to build that rapport or to build that kind of a sync with your team members or to
Definitely, there are so many things to talk about. Let's start from the beginning. Let's quickly talk
sure.
about your design journey, like from where it started. Like how was your childhood? Was there any influence? Were you always this person that you wanted to become a designer, always, or on the go you realized, okay, fine, this is what I want to do in life. How did that happen?
So I think two of my favorite things to do in my childhood were drawing and reading, and so and I would just draw a lot. I would draw all the time. I've been really fortunate to have had parents that who supported me and who let me draw, basically scribble all over the walls with crayon. And
Oh,
yeah, I mean,
nice.
yeah. So my father's a chemical engineer. My mother's a zoologist, MSc in zoology.
Wow.
So my
Okay.
drawing, so my yeah, so I think my drawing side probably comes from her side. So
Oh.
I we still have her journals from her MSc days
Mm-hmm.
at our place, and she loved to draw all those diagrammatic representations of animals, and and the labeling and all that. So I think my drawing side definitely comes from my mother.
So that's
Yeah,
why
yeah,
they encouraged you to, sketch, doodle, and paint the walls in the house.
yeah.
There was no stopping. Oh,
There was no stopping.
and you said you were into reading. So Arun keeps on telling me that you are this Wikipedia of information. So you are into pop culture. You would know like everything about motorcycles, history, different models, their specs, and everything. So yeah, so maybe reading has helped you in that segment.
Yes. Yeah. I don't read as much as I used to. I think it's just like a lot of your attention span now gets taken away by literally things like WhatsApp. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I used to read a lot, and I mean anything I could get my hands on, I would read. So had of course a ton of storybooks. So of course you had brilliant publications from India like Tinkle. Tinkle
Hmm.
was just amazing. So you had things like Disney Today. you would get these gray imports. So I used to live in New Bombay, and you'd get these gray imports of DC Comics, and
Oh,
sometimes yeah, so occasionally I would get my parents would buy me those. You would have Superman and Batman, and then you also had things like Indrajal comics, which had the Phantom and Mandrake. And I think
uh,
read a lot of these things in my childhood. Then I had books about dinosaurs, and of course, grew up reading fairy tales and all that stuff. So that was, I think, one of those things. Later, of course, like when I was around sixth or seventh standard, we would talk about cars and vehicles and
oh,
all that
at
because
home also with your parents.
yeah. So my dad and I would talk, and then so I still remember when I was in probably third standard. My brother was much younger, but my parents took us to this vintage car show, some Gymkhana in Mumbai, and
Hmm.
yeah, I mean you would get to see. So I think it's just like incredible exposure, right? Like you get to see these things. There was always this love for like vehicles in the family, and that has run for generations. Yeah. So I think I got my parents bought me an issue of Auto India, like this
Oh,
magazine that used to be around back in the day, and
wow.
I then became a subscriber. Turned out that subscription was actually cheap, and I ended up being a subscriber for like 10+ years, I think. Even after I left
Wow.
home to for higher studies, that magazine would still come to my place. So I would read each and every issue of that down to the last word and every review. And they also would, have good writers like Alan Cathcart and I don't remember the others. But and then that's where I found out about vehicle design, automotive design. So
Okay.
till that point, so before I was in sixth or seventh, I wanted to be like very early on in my childhood, I wanted to be an artist. Then I wanted to be an illustrator, cartoonist kind of a person.
Wow.
And somewhere
Okay.
around sixth or seventh standard, I wanted to be a vehicle designer. I think each one of these magazines, some of the you would get some of the other sketch. It could be some kind of a preview of an upcoming vehicle, or
Mm-hmm.
it could be like a speculative sketch by the
Right.
likes of Glencore, and yeah, those things were incredible. And you would I knew there was this thing called automotive design. In fact,
Oh.
that was the only kind of design I knew. I didn't really know about product design as such.
This is very unique thing
So
about you and your childhood because most of the designers I meet, they would come to know about this vehicle design field like very late in their life, like after completing their engineering or during engineering or
right,
something like that.
right, right,
And this is
right.
so incredible that during your seventh standard itself, that you were
Yeah, yeah.
introduced to
I would
vehicle.
draw a lot of cars and bikes and stuff,
Wow.
and they would, I mean, it would still be, like very crude sketches, crude doodles.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, most of my doodles are still crude, but so,
Doodles are supposed to be
but yeah,
crude, so it's okay.
yeah. Of course. It was nice. I would always draw cars and bikes, and the only issue was there was no way to find out how to do this for a living.
Enter
Uh,
the field itself.
yeah, and enter this field itself. I did like even in those magazines, you would get to hear about Art Center, and
Hmm.
a lot of the articles that would occasionally come out in those magazines would describe Art Center or RCA, and I had no clue how to even start applying to these places. In any case, I think, of course, that was always one of the things that I wanted to do. Um, Eventually, in 12th, I didn't do very well. So and I didn't really want to do anything else as well. I didn't want to do engineering. That was very clear. I didn't want to do medicine. Even then, I mean, I did appear for the pre-medical test, the
Okay.
entrance exam, and I didn't study at all. And I still scored close to my friends who seriously studied, to get into medicine. So
Wow.
like, wait, what? So that was quite funny. I remember someone asking me at that point, what if you get a brilliant score in this pre-medical test? Will you
Would
still
you do
go for medicine? And I said no. So and they were so pissed off. So क्या करेगा? BSc करेगा? Yeah, I think I had some clarity of what I want to do. Actually, what I didn't want to do. I didn't
Hmm.
really have exact clarity about what I wanted to do. I didn't even want to do architecture because I heard there was math in it, and I thought maybe not. I think just wanted to get rid of math once and for all. so so yeah, 12th was
Actually,
my
many a times,
huh.
no, it is more important to know what you don't want to do. Like
Yeah, yeah.
even with me, like things have happened like that only. Like in
Mm,
school, I was very sure that I didn't want to go into medical field because I hated biology.
mm.
Okay, I
Right.
couldn't understand biology, so I ended up going to engineering. Now in
Mm,
engineering, when that graphic drawing and everything was there, so I thought I want to do something related to sketching. So I chose mechanical engineering, not computer or
right, right,
anything. And then
right, right,
eventually it became automobiles because there was more sketching and diagrams involved. So
right.
so it was always about what you don't like, and then you select what you find it better.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, exactly right. Like even in math, I never liked algebra or but I love geometry. I love
Geometry,
construction.
correct.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I think at a certain point, you also could use a formula to draw an ellipse, right? So that
Yes,
is
yes.
that like to pull out the lines, and though, but frankly, I don't think there was much of that in the curriculum itself. In any case, I joined BFA and I found it to be incredibly like liberating, and yeah. So I did my BFA at Chitrakala Mahavidyalaya in Nagpur,
Nagpur.
uh, and yeah. So the college is now known as Government College of Art and Design.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. So I
so
studied
from
there.
Mumbai you
So 4 years.
so from Mumbai you moved to Nagpur
No,
for your
no.
studies.
So we lived in Mumbai, Navi Mumbai till I was in fifth.
Mm-hmm.
After which we moved to Nagpur, and so sixth standard onwards, I studied till the end of my graduation.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, I think like Bachelor of Fine Arts was really good. I enjoyed it, and of course, it had nothing to do with vehicles, but I still enjoyed it because I got to draw, I got to sketch and all that, and I had kind of figured maybe if I now don't get into automotive design, I was going to get into like a company that works with vehicles ever, because of the
Mm-hmm.
career path I'd chosen. And but I still thought, I could still do illustration. I still enjoyed doing that stuff. I could do concept art or something on those lines.
Nice.
So, and I think that around the time I joined my graduation, access to the internet had become a little better, and we got some internet at home, and then you had cafes springing up here and there. You already had those out there, but I think at least access became easier. So you kind of, as you would kind of look around and search around, so you would find out about things like concept art and like, hey, this is exactly what I want to do, and
Mm-hmm.
or what I one of the things I could potentially do. Yeah, but I think the like access to internet opened up a wider world of
Information and fields
like
and things like that.
information, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you can actually upload your work, or you can talk about, or you can see someone else's work, or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so I think
This must
it was
be
just fascinating.
2004, 5, right? Like that time.
So I mean I joined my graduation 2002 and finished in 2006. So I had a few I even have had a couple of theory subjects in college. So one of them was history of art. I aced it, in
Oh,
fact. I'm
wow.
like I used to love it, and
It's like
I
proper
had a
combination
great,
of things you love, no? Reading and then art.
yeah. Yeah. And so history of art was awesome, and I also had a great teacher. So thanks to her, I think I did well. What I used to do was I would go the extra mile. I would go on the internet after, like collecting my notes from class, and
Wow.
I would add information from there, and then make proper notes, like fair notes, like from rough notes. So that was, and again, it was just because it was something that I would like to do. In fact, you would draw so much in college that now writing was like this thing that you would look forward to. So
Ah, right,
yeah,
right.
it was nice. It was but so yeah, having we had a couple of theory subjects, and that was it. And your studies kept getting more and more advanced as
Hmm.
you progressed in the course.
So, when did you decide to, pursue automobile design? Like when you were doing BFA, you
So
were enjoying it for sure. So, how did that
uh,
transition happen?
deep down inside, I've
Always
always
wanted.
wanted to do vehicles. It didn't seem like it was possible at that time,
Hmm.
and but I would still draw vehicles. I would still sketch vehicles. still, that was still a thing that I would do on the side. I would still read about vehicles. So that love for automobiles never died, or the
Never
love
died.
for cars and bikes never died. In fact, I think one of the things that I realized was when we moved from like Mumbai to Nagpur, right? Mumbai is a place where you can just get out of your house and you have access to public transport. Like, I don't know about now, but you back then you really didn't need a personal vehicle in Mumbai at all. But moving to Nagpur, I think the whole it's a very different place. So everyone has a two-wheeler, and everyone has multiple two-wheelers in their house, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's a proper two-wheeler city, and I think the love for bikes as well, comes from there. I would so when I was like growing up in my sixth and
Even the
seventh,
roads
and
are pretty good over there, right?
roads are nice. Roads are damn nice. So
Yeah.
and I was growing up. I had a couple of older uncles who had two-stroke bikes. You would kind of start discovering things as you get, kind of discovering things about vehicles in general.
Hmm.
So that's where I saw for the first time. I noticed like that there's a speedometer, and then there's this thing that the vehicle's not moving, but then the needle's moving as you rev the vehicle. So that's the
Ah.
tachometer. Oh, RPM. And but yeah, I think those two-stroke bikes were just insane. You would always aspire to like kind of grow up and buy one of those things.
So
I
your
remember when
love for motorcycles began from Nagpur itself.
yeah. I think that was definitely one of the turning points in terms of like otherwise, yeah, I would probably have just liked cars alone. I like cars and bikes both.
So after that, you decided to go to ITC and pursue
Yes,
visual communication, right?
yeah. So again, I always wanted to study design.
Mm-hmm.
That was always very clear. I applied and I applied to NID. I failed the NID entrance test. Uh, and I sat for seed. So I luckily did decently well in seed, and I then attended the studio test. I had a portfolio, and in fact, my portfolio. One good thing, at least during my graduation, was that I was again encouraged by my parents to, like, if you do get a side gig, if you do get a job on the side, just do it. And like at least as long as you're studying, you don't need to worry about getting paid, or I mean, if you get paid, it's a bonus because you have a support system at home, right?
Wow.
That is one of the yeah.
Your
So,
parents are like
but
really supportive, huh? Because
yeah,
unlike
yeah,
other
yeah,
Indian parents, they're always, forcing you to get that settled job and decent salary and things like that. And they'll always, avoid you from all these side gigs, as you said.
no, but yeah, like both, at least my brother and I have been really fortunate to, to kind of have had that kind of support. Like a large format printing agency, I did some design work for them in
Wow.
like summer. So I would work full time in the summer and sometimes part time during my college days. And then I worked for a media production house. I did some illustration and animation for them. Did some website work for them.
Wow.
Um, and I did a few other things. What happened was all those things that I did ended up in my portfolio, and most of like my portfolio was that work and not as much academic work from BFA. So it was also one of those things. Like doing all those things helped me and get the skills required to actually construct a portfolio, like to
Mm,
like what format do you make it in, how do you how do you put your work in a layout, how do you
yeah.
get it printed. It was just nice. It's at least getting to work on those things gave me some hands-on experience.
Sure,
And
sure, sure.
yeah,
Actually, like whenever I meet students, design students, I like really encourage them to, go and get these side internships while doing the college because, studying in the college is one thing, but then getting that hands-on experience, like as you mentioned, the printing studio, it doesn't
yeah,
matter. Like, in fact, it will be better if you end up going to various industries because you will get various knowledge. You will become like this package at the end of your college. You'll become this package which you can
yeah,
propose it to for better opportunities. So yeah, I
yeah,
think, and this is very fascinating that you did BFA, so you were always good in arts. You had this good information because you used to read a lot. Then you were into car illustrations. Then you went into visual communication, and then as side gigs,
yeah,
you
yeah,
did work with printing studios, media
yeah. That
houses.
was
So, like, I'm pretty sure by the time you have finished your IDC degree, you are like this person with like immense amount of knowledge around art and design. So that is super
I
cool, actually.
I yeah, it sounds cool, but I don't think it was that cool. See, I think, like again, the work that like the side gigs that I did, for example, were mostly during my graduation. So where I could,
Mm.
like, whether the college curriculum was such that you would, of course, you would have to work hard, but then uh, there would be times when you could kind of like you could spend your evenings doing something else, or you could spend your summers. You had longer summer vacations, right? So hence
Correct.
the side gigs, which happened, summer jobs, right? I think IDC was totally different. IDC, in fact, was far more structured, and you were on your toes with college work. Before we proceed, one thing that I would like to say is that if you're like to students, if you do a part-time job, or if you do it, just please ensure that you get paid.
Tell me more about IDC. How was, first of all, I have this very curious question that because you came from
Mm.
BFA background, which is like a pure artistic, creative kind of a environment, and then you ended up in IDC. Now, IDC, I know when it comes to design, it will be more free and liberating, but it comes under this very, technical ambience of IIT, like very
Yeah, yeah.
nerdy technical people. So, how was the difference in the cultures, and how was IDC in all?
Actually, it helps for IDC to be part of IIT Bombay,
Mm-hmm.
because as a first of all, as a department, you kind of work with other departments. You can actually, you have so many opportunities to work together
Mm-hmm.
on so many things. And uh, design being part of a technical institute, yeah, I mean, it helps a lot. At least for in terms of IDC, I think it's worked very well in terms of how the courses are structured, how your projects are kind of planned out for you, and what kind of modules you actually have to undergo.
Correct.
So again, and design and art are very different things, and uh, which I think I did like face some difficulties in that transition. I think one of the best things about IDC is, one, your batchmates and seniors who are from different backgrounds, who are from different faculties, and
Mm.
someone would be working on a gas cylinder, or someone would be working on, and you would get to see that, and you could. I mean, it's quite open that way. Or you would have visitors coming in from outside who would talk about. Like, I remember the founder of Core 77 had dropped by Core 77 and Core of Lot, and
Oh, nice.
it just so yeah, yeah, so it's just so nice to just hear from these people, right? So I think that
Correct.
exposure is incredible. Being part of IIT Bombay, as a student, you like, again, it's like all up to you, but you can choose to walk into any department and talk to a student and professor, or you can make friends with in your hostel, with
Mm.
people from different departments, and it's you like they have an incredible library, and I loved going there all the time. Also because I was a bit of a loner. I had a couple of friends, but I was mostly a loner. Otherwise, I would be walking around campus. I had a small camera with me, which I would
Oh, nice.
keep with yeah, yeah, which I would keep with me all the time. So I would just take pictures of random things, and sometimes birds, sometimes snakes.
Oh. Leopards
Yeah, yeah.
also sometime
So
maybe.
no, so in fact, I remember reading about a leopard, which had come to campus,
To campus, correct.
and
Yeah.
yeah, literally, like, but I read about it in the newspaper. The leopard entered. There was a cage. They caught it and released it all in the span of a few hours. So
Correct.
most of IIT didn't even come to know about that. And yeah, so yeah,
Oh,
I think leopards are regular
scary.
visitors there. I've heard instances of leopards coming into hostels and dragging like stray dogs away. Crazy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Crazy, crazy. But the campus is very
Anyway,
beautiful. And
oh, it's pretty. It's super pretty.
I just want to like conclude this segment about ITC with
Sure,
this
sure, sure,
that
sure.
I think when it comes to IIT, because
Hmm.
I come from NID and NID is just bunch of creative individuals, right?
Hmm.
And we always struggle to have that collaborations with engineers or programmers or coders, tech people basically. So,
Right, right.
but I think IIT provides that, very good what do you say environment where engineers are also there, like the best engineers in
Yes,
the
yes,
in the
yes,
country,
yes,
and then
yes,
designers are
yes,
also there. So it will be
yes.
very exciting to collaborate with them, work on something which where both of the worlds can
Yeah, yeah.
combine together and produce something very functional and practical. So I think
Yeah,
that ways IDC or IITs, they are like very good for designers, I feel.
yeah, it was really nice, and I think what you said does make complete sense. It being there, you have opportunities to work with other teams on, say a joint project or something.
Hmm.
In fact, as students, students, there are student driven initiatives also, right, where
Yeah.
you are part of a Formula SA team, and someone from IDC might help them do some of the body work, and like
Yeah.
the graphics, and then the
Wow.
sponsorship brochures and all
That
that.
would be
So I think
super
that
cool,
has
huh?
happened. Yeah, yeah. Yes.
Shantanu, we talked about your IDC journey. Now
Right.
let's go to a little bit into your professional journey. So I know
Right.
that TVS was your first kind of a proper professional job as a vehicle designer,
Right.
and
Right.
then you
Right.
moved to Ather eventually.
When I was in IDC, of course, I didn't really have. I mean, I was doing visual communication, right? A few of my projects were closer to product design than visual communication. So, like my
Okay.
final thesis project was actually redesign of coins. Of course, there was a big VC part in it. So where you had typography and even a bit of
Wow.
graphic design in there. But of course, the functional aspect of the coin itself also was equally important when it came to quick identification, tactile feel, and then your like especially for blind people. So certain aspects of product design had seeped in there. It wasn't pure visual communication. Also, a couple of research projects that I did, that I was part of when I was at IDC, had to do with phone usage. So that again had to do with usability at its core. It was driven by language, but that was
Okay.
one. And yeah, and I also attended a module in IDC, which was again, which was a credit course for product design students. But since I was not from product design, but since I had requested, whether if I could join that course, and since they let me, I was allowed to sit through it without credits,
Okay.
and that was okay. And I just wanted to do that. So I had a teammate, Pushkar, who has his own design firm now, has his own design service now, and
Okay.
so we worked on this like a very sporty urban, like 1 by 1 meter platform commute vehicle, like a runabout. So it was fun doing that. Maybe someday I would like to revisit that project. So our professor had a standard 1 by 1 meter kind of a format. Uh, like it was like a platform of an electric vehicle with two members that came out and held two front wheels, and you had rear wheels which were like casters. So the steering would be just through variable torque. So it was
Ah.
very basic, but we still made like something extremely sporty out of it, and it was fun doing that. Uh, got to learn a couple of things there. But of course, my portfolio when I passed out had some of that work and some of my own personal explorations or personal sketches. So I didn't get placed during our official placement season anywhere. I also didn't
Mm-hmm.
appear for a few companies that I wasn't really interested in the first place.
Okay.
I hadn't really figured out what I was going to do when I left IDC. I had a couple of I was interviewing at a couple of places, a couple of design firms in Mumbai. Um, when TVS kind of reached out to IDC, and I was, since I mean, I was there. I was, I think, among the two, three people who hadn't been placed. So I applied, and they called me for another interview. So again, they what they were looking for was more of a person who did graphics and color and that stuff. Not
Ah.
exactly CMF, but yeah, they had kind of made it clear about what work they were going to give me.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it was this opportunity of entering the automotive industry, and that was the most important aspect. And
Correct.
I was happy to just join and be part of that,
Finally,
right?
that
And
dream from your seventh standard was
yeah,
becoming
yeah,
true, right?
yeah, at least part of an automotive, if not designing vehicles directly, at
But
least
at
working
least
on
you are
vehicles
entering.
and
Yeah.
entering. Yeah, again, not a very thought through structured plan, but at least coming closer to at least being part of a place where there are just vehicles around, right, all the time.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
yeah, when you join fresh out of college, right, you have all these ideas about what you want to do there, right? And I think that I'm pretty sure you've also experienced that. So
Right.
so I think that entire fresh set of thoughts and beliefs, and then you kind of actually get to see how vehicles are made, how vehicles are designed and produced and manufactured, and the amount of engineering that goes in behind each one of these products. One good thing about TVS was the kind of exposure that you would get. Like they had a product library, and I would go there. I would look at. So they had some fascinating vehicles there, and there was
Wow.
a classic Katana there, and I would go. Yeah,
Oh.
yes, I would just go. I would just go stare at. stare at it and come back, you know. And so it was
Nice.
brilliant. And yeah, so they had a lot of these really cool products. They had tiny Indonesian bikes. Like I remember there was a very slim CBR 150R, I believe, and then you would get maxi scooters, and then you would get these very tiny
The
Japanese
Bex and
scooters.
all that. Yeah.
Now, of course, you had these Indonesian, the ASEAN market, Bebex and Scubex and all these products.
Correct.
But you
Yeah.
also got to see other bigger bikes occasionally. And yeah, that was nice. It was just nice to just go stare at these products, touch them, feel them, and and come back to your desk. TVS also has the best racing department in the country among
Yeah.
any Indian OEM, right? So, and I think you could walk into there, you could walk into that department, and as long as you wouldn't touch anything, and if you ask them questions, they would be glad to answer, and they would take you around. So
Wow.
it's like that candy shop kind of a feel. You just go there and look at every race vehicle that follows. As you keep going deeper inside the department, it just goes more and more insane, and you keep
Wow.
wondering how someone would even ride these things. So I think that exposure helped. I think it cemented understanding of motorcycles in a better way. And
Hmm.
of course, in TVS, I ended up making friends who are now our common friends, right? And I think that was another really good fun aspect of being there. So
Sure. Yeah.
it was, yeah, we had a lot of fun in there.
Actually, yeah,
Uh,
if you're like when you're telling me all this, these things are not easily available out there in the market, like access to exotic bikes, access to iconic,
yeah, 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 yeah.
scooters and motorcycle and things like that. And then with TVS, I understand when you're saying this racing department and all, no, because TVS is the only Indian company by far who has some kind of a racing structured around them. So they have their racing team, they have their racing track, they have this
Yes.
performance-oriented research going on. Now with this RR310, there are so many other activities are happening. So I'm pretty sure TVS would be this very cool place for these like curious designers who are into motorcycles and two-wheelers and racing.
Like being part of a big OEM, you have resources readily available, like a product library. It's you can learn there based on your own initiative if you want to know, but if you're just curious. So yeah, I think that was it. It was really nice. One pivotal thing I think was we had a master class in TVS uh,
Okay.
by a really well-known professor from a well-known institute abroad, and he I think so. Most designers were taken off work for a week, like
Okay.
close to like like 7 8 days, and then all of us were put into this master class, and
Wow.
it was insane. It was literally like going back to college. So the thing was, you just had to make a motorcycle. It could have 2 wheels, it could have 3 wheels, but
Oh.
it's designed for a specific purpose, and you have to be very clear about where your inspiration comes from. So one of the lines that professor said was honor your inspiration. So honor your inspiration, I think, and then what he meant by that, he also explained, and like he explained things about abstraction. He explained things about like product intent, even while designing. So he would do these very free, loose sketches, but they would have so much character in them. And
What was his
so I
name,
think
if I may ask?
so his name was Professor Bamsa Clem. I think I remember making a reverse strike taxi
Oh.
cab, a covered taxi cab. Yeah, so it was nice working on that just for a week, and putting all your energy into that. Going to auto expos, I think, was another like dream, right? In your childhood, you would
Yeah, yeah,
read
yeah.
about it in auto magazines, and then you're getting to visit these expos in person. So, and since you're part of
Team.
an exhibitor contingent, right? You have early access even before all the stalls open.
Press day release
Like
and all you
yeah, yeah.
can
So
attend, right?
yeah, yeah. So yeah, yeah. So I remember sitting in so many supercars, and sitting on so many superbikes in that expo, just like
Yeah.
because I could just go anywhere I wanted. So that was nice.
Yeah, I think in all what you're saying is the kind of exposure you got, not just to the exciting products, but also things like Auto Expo, and then also meeting like these high-leveled strategy people where small decisions will, create a whole new impact on the profit and the entire business part of the company. All
Yeah,
those
yeah, yeah,
things are like
yeah, yeah.
very pivotal. Awesome. So tell me, like when all this was happening, how did Ather happen? Because I'm pretty sure when
So
you got to know about Ather, Ather might not be this giant company which it is today. It might have been in a very nascent stage that time, right?
yes. So when I got to know about Ather was basically two people, the co-founders, and one intern.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Only
So
just three
yeah,
people.
yeah, yeah. So that's when I met them, and
Wow.
I met them. So I was visiting someone at the IIT Madras campus, and turns out that they were part of a Formula SA team. And then
Wow.
they excitedly took me to the Formula SA workshop, and then we talked about like Aero One bodywork, and I kind of had
Nice.
some ideas of what they could do and all. It was just I went there as a friend of I went there because I had a friend who was studying there. So
Correct.
and then when we tried talking about this, I ended up meeting through that team. I ended up meeting Tarun and Swapnil, and
Wow.
so the co-founders, and then we generally, I think, struck a similar chord in terms of
This is which
general
year?
ideas of what. So this is 2014, like a little before I had officially before I quit TVS and joined. Not having a hub motor was one of the things that we struck a chord on. I still remember. So we had these conversations, and like it was. I mean, I'd been working on good projects, but I thought let if I don't make this move now, I might not be able to explore something absolutely new. And I'd
Hmm.
always been fascinated by electric vehicles. So this was a step that I was I happily took.
Wow. So it's a complete
Yeah,
leap of faith, and
yeah.
it's so exciting to know that you have seen Ather to grow from like those three people to now what,
Yeah, yeah.
1500, 1600 employees of company.
Yeah, yeah.
What was it like? Like, how did this design of Ather came into picture? Like, you started from like having very small number of employees or team, and then
Yes, yes.
shaping up this entire gigantic company which it is today. So, what was that journey
Yeah,
like?
yeah. Some of these things were very clear that we wanted to make a scooter because scooters have a wider appeal, and
Hmm.
also an inherent relevance to an urban scenario, right?
Yeah.
Where like if you have to kind of if you have to make a product that gets you the best of an electric drivetrain with in a cost structure that still works for a customer,
Hmm.
at least to a large extent. You still want to you still want to have tech on the vehicle that enables the customer to do more and more. I think
Hmm.
the logical answer was a scooter. And we were also kind of very clear about it not being a conventional scooter from that point of view. So one of the biggest things that we wanted to kind of break the notion of
Hmm.
was electric vehicles and lack of performance, right? Till that point in the market, every electric vehicle was sourced from outside, and it would
True.
typically
Yeah.
be like a white label, almost a white label product that some company in India would just slap their label on and sell. And those products were obsolete. They suffered from a lot of issues, right, apart from the inherent apart from the inherent obsolete technology itself, the obsolete drivetrain itself. They suffered from bad build quality and offering no other experience to customers. On the other hand, you end up paying a lot more for these products because you need to keep replacing the battery. So we looked at all these things, and we realized that there's a space where that exists for a product that
Hmm.
uh, that can cost less to run, but it doesn't need to be a cheap product. It doesn't have to be, and it doesn't have to have, and it could have great performance. I mean, the biggest thing about any electric motor is that you get instant torque, right? And why won't you take advantage of that torque? So selecting the right motor, selecting the right kind of battery chemistry, selecting the right kind of
Wow.
selecting the right kind of battery placement. I think all these became crucial to each product decision. But what we knew was we wanted to make a performance scooter,
Hmm.
and that was the starting point. We started with
Awesome.
24 odd key sketches. Yeah, so 24 odd key sketches, from which we converged to 8, and from which we developed a little bit, from which we came down to 2, and which we came down to 1, which essentially is the vehicle that you see out on the roads today.
Tell me something. Like during that time, there was so much fun about EVs, right? Like the EV won't have that enough range or things like that. How did you
Yeah.
tackle those things? And when these guys were, approaching investors and all that, so were you also part of that, or only founders used to go there?
No, I think it was mostly the founders who would do
Okay.
these pitches to investors. As a company, we had design, we had at least we had design sketches, we had design concepts that
Hmm.
that kind of also became a supporting big supporting part of these pitches, I guess, in the early stages. And I think
Mhm.
the thing about range is that we tested a lot of existing electric vehicles,
Mm.
and apart from that, everyone also uses vehicles in general, right? Everyone, like a lot of people have a Formula SAE background. A lot of people have in general a love for vehicles and racing and other things. But coming back to a daily usage of vehicles, you if you kind of analyze it, and if you understand the actual amount you ride in a city on a daily basis, uh, we kind of realize that you don't need a crazy amount of range if you just charge your vehicle regularly. And that charging habit can just like it could just be like charging your phone, right? So
Yeah,
you
it
come
becomes a
home,
part of your
yeah. So
lifestyle, right?
you could of course park in you can charge in public if you're at a fast charging point, if you do have the if you start running out, if you do have an emergency of some sort. But
Mm.
otherwise, I think charging at home should be, overnight charging at home should be enough. You can add more battery, you can add more cells, right? You can make
Mm.
a bigger battery, but it impacts weight, it impacts handling. So I think all these factors have to be balanced very well.
Balanced, yeah, right. So,
Yeah, yeah,
Shantanu, tell me something. Like, we often have this discussion about EVs being a second bike, second utility scooter, something like that.
huh.
So,
Mm-hmm.
people usually say that you would need a fuel vehicle, which is like a normal commuter bike, petrol fueled, and which will be like ready to use. And then there will be another second scooter, which can be EV, so which you will use for
Mm.
shorter commutes and going to the market and nearby places and all that. Because
Right.
their major question is, their major anxiety is that what if you have to go somewhere on an emergency basis, and then you find out that the scooter is not completely charged or something like that. So do
Yeah,
you
right.
think this is right, or in future it's going to completely change in a scenario where this EV scooter or EV mobility will become like the primary commuting vehicle in the family? What do you think about that?
When you kind of work at an EV company, one of the biggest things we realized is that vehicles are only one part of the equation. It is
Hmm.
charging infrastructure, which is an equally important part of your entire business. Uh, and that charging infrastructure is, of course, one part of it is public charging. The second
Hmm.
part of it is the other part is home charging. I think what we would like to keep ensuring is that you should be able to charge at home. Home charging is slow charging. If you do have to get out there in an emergency, you should have access to a fast public charger,
Hmm.
not too far from, say, where you live or where you work or where you have to commute. So
Correct.
spreading a charging infrastructure network all over every city, every town becomes very important. And
Important.
I think if you yeah, so if you do go to a public charging point, in 15 minutes you will get more than 15 kilometers of range topped up to your, and it is fast. And it will get a little faster over, like that is how technology evolves, right? So it will get faster for everyone,
Hmm.
at least as far as urban usage is concerned. It's far more convenient for me to ride an electric scooter. So I would look at a petrol vehicle as a secondary vehicle, and like
Okay.
which opens up your, at least for the moment, keeps your long distance
Oh,
aspirations and needs ready.
that's an interesting thing which you said. Actually, yeah,
Yeah,
if you think like that, because you are not doing long distance commute every day. What you're doing
yeah,
every
yeah,
day is a short commute, right? To offices, like city commutes
yeah, yeah,
basically. And
yeah.
that is your primary necessity when it comes to mobility. And EV
Right,
can for sure provide that. So that way,
right.
the argument becomes like completely opposite. So EV is your
Yeah, yeah,
primary vehicle, and then
yeah,
petrol
yeah.
vehicle is like a secondary vehicle which you will use for only long distance commute, where range
Yes,
is
yes.
like very important.
Yeah, yeah. There are examples of customers of even like so yeah, customers of Tata Nexon EVs and our own
Hmm.
customers who have of course, this is a very small percentage of customers right now, but who have successfully like done in intercity traveling,
Yeah.
uh, by figuring out where to charge and how to charge and for how long to charge.
True, true,
But
true.
of course, this is still the adventurous type of persona right now. So I guess
Yeah.
this will start permeating into other. There are apparently, from what I've heard, there are hotels and homestays which have started providing charging setups for
Hmm.
travelers. So I guess things will improve on that front.
True. I think it's part of the lifestyle. Like I think
Yeah,
we can completely compare this EV scenario with smartphones. Initially, smartphones, like big screen smartphones when came in picture, battery became like the huge problem. Before that, Nokia phones used to come, which we used to charge like once in 2 3 days, and then smartphones, it became like a necessity to charge every single night, right? And initially there was reluctance, but then eventually it became part of the lifestyle. Now nobody complains about
Yeah.
that part, right? So I think similar
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
thing will happen with EVs also. Now people are
Yes.
thinking like that. Range might be a problem, charging might be a problem, but once you get used to that lifestyle, then
Yes. Yes.
like you will be sure that every morning your vehicle is completely charged, it's ready to go, ready to
Exactly.
perform the entire day.
Exactly.